Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Brett Allen Show. Today, we are super excited about our guest, Rose Abdoo. You know her as Josefina from Hacks, and she has a million other projects that are coming out here very soon. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yes, well, let's talk about this. You have been quite busy. You have a lot going on. And of course, Hacks, we just wrapped that up. And of course, you have a lot of other great projects talking about. Let's get into this. This show in particular has just been so amazingly popular and hilarious and just so many great things. Let's talk about it. How did that project Hacks sort of come about for you? And what interested you in becoming a part of that?
Well, I got the script about the March. I call it March before the whole world changed. So I think the audition was March 4th. And I remember several people at my agency were saying, I don't know if you're going to be interested in this because it's, I was trying to get away from playing maybe another Latina housekeeper. And I took a look at that pilot and thought, I've never read a better pilot. I mean, I've been auditioning for shows, how many years now? Since 93. And I had never read a pilot that made me so interested in to see what was going to happen next. And I found the Josefina character when I got to talk to the producers after I made my audition tape. I said, I see her as sort of a house manager, sort of I made a Downton Abbey reference, actually. I said, she's like Carson, who runs the house. You know, she's more than just, just your run of the mill, like worker for Deb Vance. And they agreed with me and they were so open to hearing my ideas and stuff. And I thought, I have since read that they have kind of mapped out where they want Hacks to go, I think, for the next couple of seasons. And I knew that if I got involved with them and hung in there, that we could start to see more about her life than was just in the initial season one. So I loved the characters in the pilot. I loved the idea of the relationship between, this young comic and older comedian. And it just thrilled me. And I was so delighted when they offered it to me, but I think it was March 4th. And then everything changed. And we didn't start filming until that November.
Okay.
So we did that whole first season. I have to say this, I've been saying this when a couple people ask me about it, that I'm so proud of the whole cast and crew for doing that before the vaccine was ever even invented. I mean, we were making this show. So for the first time, I'm working with people. We can't really get to know each other. Everyone's in a mask. You had to sit 6 feet apart. It's a very different way to work. So the fact that was so well received after that first season was so gratifying to everybody because it felt strange. I mean, it was just a different way to film something. And we were so proud of it. And then it was just a gas to make the second season because by then we were like, people love it. I think more people, I think someone was saying that HBO said that people wait until there's 2 seasons of something before they'll binge it. They want something bingeable more than 8. So I think more people have found the show this year than streamed it the first season, I think.
That makes sense. Netflix has ruined us and Hulu a little bit too. Because you can go on there and watch an entire season of something or 2 seasons, depending on when you find out about a show. But I think this one in particular, to me, seems like art imitating life quite a bit. Like this is something that could be or could exist out in the universe. And you all just do such a great job. And when the first season ended, we always are waiting around to find out, are we going to get another season? What's going to happen with all these great characters? And that's great to hear a little bit of a teaser there that they kind of have an idea of where they want to take the show. And hats off too, just sort of doing all this when everything was sort of the wild, wild west a little bit.
Yes.
And, kind of being one of the first shows to figure this out, because I know for a while people thought, is what's going to happen with entertainment? We have no idea. But you guys did it and you just absolutely murdered it. It's so good. I mean, I love comedy anyway, and comedians, and the whole idea and the premise of this show just makes perfect sense. And yes, I get the Downton Abbey reference with your character because she's not just, the housemaid. She actually kind of holds everything together and sort of keeps everybody's life on track. I think that's a fair assumption.
Well, thank you. I really enjoy it so much. And there are little clues to that where you see, well, she sits on her bed when they sort clothes. That's a very personal, intimate thing. And the way that Josefina is always asking Deborah if she can get her something, even when I offer her an edible, like it's just, we have a very different relationship. And Jean Smart is just the absolute best person to work with. She's incredible, very just, the whole cast is just really a joy to be around. And I don't get to see them that much, but I am thrilled that we are picked up for season 3. And I believe we start that this November. So the last 2 years started November 30th. It's an amazing thing that they put together the whole second season really it was such a short period of time when it was premiering. They were kind of miracle workers, I think. It's really incredible.
Yeah. No, I would say so. Does that shoot in LA or do you film on location?
Well, in LA, and then when they went on the road, they did go on the road. So I was concerned because I was like, wait, they're leaving on tour? Where does that leave Josefina? So I thought, oh, wait, she can call in from the iPad, or, it was really fun for me when I found out that, Deborah Vance has a mansion in LA too, that Josefina can just hop a plane from Vegas to LA and be there. I was like, you always want to look out for, wait, how is my character going to be involved if she's touring? So I was thrilled that season 2 ended with, I think she's going to either get a residency or I don't know what's going to happen, but I can't wait to find out. But I'm hoping that I'm in, I heard a rumor I might be in a few more of them. So
that's great. Well, I hope so, because your character is amazing. And you have just done so many amazing different projects over your lifetime of your career. What interested you in becoming an actor or a storyteller? Where did that journey begin for you?
Brett, I always say my interest in doing this stemmed from my disinterest in waiting in line. Because I went to Michigan State. I had always thought that I would be, I was one of the kids in school. In high school, we had a very, very good theater department. Like they put a lot of money into the productions. And of course I did all the plays, but it just didn't seem like that's not a career. And we also had an incredible radio station in my school, WSHJ. And I used to do the headlines. So I always imagined, well, I'm going to be a foreign correspondent. And I didn't really know anything about that, except I wanted to have a microphone and a trench coat and be standing in front of very exotic locations. And I wanted to be an important reporter. So of course I go to Michigan State and I think, well, I'm going to study telecommunications. Well, at the time it's a 46,000 person school.
Wow.
And the registration, was in the racquetball court. So you would line up and go to the racquetball court and get these, those punch cards that look like the old voting hanging chads, and stand in line. So you'd have to snake around. The line was 3.5 hours long. You'd go up to the different departments in the racquetball court and ask for these courses that were in these wooden boxes. It sounds so antiquated now. I'm not that old, but it was 1980. So there you go. And you'd pick the thing. Well, anyway, the lines for all of the requirements for a telecommunications degree were so long that I was like, I'm never going to get to go to lunch with my friends. This is ridiculous. How am I going to get all these classes? The theater table had nobody. There were 3 people in line. So I just like, all right, let me go. I kept getting more and more and more theater. And finally, I was dominating all the shows in the theater department. I did 25 shows with Performing Arts Company during the time I was there. And I was very encouraged by the professors, like, no, you need to pursue. This is really something you could pursue. Then at the time I met a guy, well, I had known him for years. And he said, you should go to Second City. I said, what is that? He starts naming the people that had studied at Second City and said, women, there aren't a lot of women doing it. I think you'd really love it. I did not know how to drive, even though I was from Detroit. And I thought, I'm going to move to Chicago. You don't need a car there. And there's this place called Second City. So I auditioned for Second City, and the rest is it just sort of snowballed. I started touring. My first touring company was Chris Farley, Steve Colbert, Ian Gomez, Amy Sedaris. It was really an incredible time to be at Second City. And that's how it all started.
Yeah, I was talking to Matt Walsh a while ago, and he was talking about how he sort of had the same similar experience. He kind of dipped his toes in to stand up, but really the Upright Citizens Brigade and Second City was really where kind of things connected for him. So you are doing this and you're making appearances on TV shows and doing these roles. Where was kind of the aha moment for you where you kind of, I don't know, maybe you still are going, I don't know what's going to happen next, even though you're quite busy. Was it one of these other shows, maybe like Gilmore Girls or something, where you kind of like knew, okay, I can really do this like full time?
That's such an interesting question. I think I call my career kind of backwards because most people start by small role, co-star, co-star, then guest star, then series regular. I was doing a play and very, very happy living in Chicago. I had worked at Second City. I did 2 shows there. I really loved it. And I got nominated for what's we call it the Jeff Award, which is like a Tony Award of Chicago.
Yeah.
And I was doing that, and I was so happy to be in a Neil Simon play. And I get this call that some VHS tape I made was seen by Robert Zemeckis, and I'm going to fly to LA and be in 8 episodes of a TV show called Johnny Bago with Peter Dobson. And it was Bob Zemeckis directed it, that we did 8 episodes for CBS. So I got a series regular when I had never even been on television before.
Wow.
So
that
people
doesn't
were like,
happen a lot.
it does not happen. So, it wasn't watched by that many people, but at the time there was really nothing on. We got a 12 share, I think, which today would be a huge hit. But then it was not considered a hit. But I did it. And then I just didn't want to live in LA. But I think when I got cast in that show, I realized, wait a minute, I think I could do, because it seemed like, I always say to my friend that sometimes auditioning for things is like blindfold yourself, take a handful of marbles, and then turn around and throw them over your shoulder and hope that one goes through a hole in a stone wall that's 80 feet away. Like, that's what it feels like sometimes when you're auditioning. You're just like, this is going to drop off a cliff. No one's going to see this.
Yeah.
But the fact that I did made me think, oh, now I say to people, I think I'm addicted to the gamble. Like, it's a gambling addiction, really, making these tapes and hoping someone sees it and hires you. And, it has paid off very nicely. But it's, I still sometimes think like, I have to figure out something to do, even though I'm doing it all the time. I have to figure out something real to do because it's so fun. My father told me a long time ago, it's a classic saying, if you work it out that you enjoy what you do, you'll feel like you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
If you find something you love. And I think I've done that.
Well, you've certainly struck gold. I've also been told it's like going to a job interview, but then never hearing back if you got the job or not. You just don't know. Fantastic. Well, as we wrap here, I want to talk about this great new show. I don't know how much we can talk about, but I've been reading about this and I saw a trailer for it, Reboot, which has to be one of the most ironic shows. For people that don't know, it's basically about a sitcom family that sort of comes back together decades later and tries to assimilate the same kind of thing. Which it's, again, I feel like art imitating life a little bit because we're in an age of reboots. Let's talk about that. How fun was that for you, and what can people expect?
Much fun. Oh my gosh, so much fun. I was a huge Modern Family fan. So Steve Levitan created the show Reboot, and Rachel Bloom is in it, and from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and Paul Reiser, who I've loved Paul Reiser since Diner. I mean, I loved Mad About You, but it was like, he's just one of my favorite. And the fact that I got to play a writer in the writer's room with Paul Reiser was incredible to me. And that was really, I think that doing Selma, that's my name in Reboot, I've done 5 of them, 5 of the 8 that are going to premiere September 20th on Hulu. I think it's one of my favorite characters I've ever played, for sure.
Wow.
And I really it's just a gas. I mean, it's really a funny show. Keegan-Michael Key, Johnny Knoxville, Judy Greer. It's really just so much fun. And I'm not in the trailer, which I thought was funny because I said it'll be like a secret when I show up. I haven't told that many people that I'm going to do it, but I'm so excited for people. I did post and say, please get Hulu if you don't already have it, because you're not going to want to miss this.
No, absolutely not. Well, fantastic. If you haven't seen Hacks, please do. I mean, just watch it because it's such an amazing show and so smartly written and just so well done. And of course, Reboot coming up here in the coming weeks. And I know you have a lot of other things that you're working on too. So very exciting. We won't spoil it, but you're going to be making maybe some appearances and maybe some other things that you've done in the universe of something. We'll leave it there. But thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
It's so nice to talk to you, Brad. Thank you.